Lewis Hamilton, Grand Prix winner. In Ferrari red, no less. That's got a pretty nice ring to it, doesn't it? Barcelona was his first win for the Scuderia, his first win of any kind since the 2024 Belgian Grand Prix. It had been too long. And I'll be honest with you, there was a stretch where I genuinely wondered if we'd ever see him on that top step again. But the man delivered. And since then, the momentum has just kept building. Because here's where we actually are right now. Hamilton is second in the World Championship. Second, 45 points behind Kimi Antonelli, with plenty of racing still to go. And this weekend in Hungary, he stuck his Ferrari on the front row, 12 thousandths of a second off pole, at a circuit where he's won 8 times. 8. So the question writes itself. Is this just a purple patch of form, or is this a genuine championship challenge? Well, today, we're choosing optimism. Here are all the reasons why I think, yes, Lewis Hamilton can win the 2026 Formula One World Drivers' Championship. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the thing nobody talks about enough: reliability. It's all well and good having a quick car. The Mercedes factory team has absolutely set the benchmark this year. Their complete package is number one across the majority of track types we've visited. But all of that means nothing if you can't get to the checkered flag. And unreliability is properly back in Formula One. Here's some context for you. From 1950 all the way to 2021, 72 seasons, there were only 10 occasions where every single starter finished the race. 10. It was incredibly rare for everyone to make it home, and that's normal. Accidents, failures, that's motorsport. But then look at the 3 seasons before this one, 2023, 2024, 2025. Races with 0 retirements happened 7 times in just 3 years. 7 versus 10 in 72. For me, F1 had simply become too reliable. Part of this sport is that inherent anxiety, that even when you're leading comfortably, your car might just break. And in 2026, with a fresh regulation reset, we haven't had a single race where everyone's finished. That anxiety is back. And it's not just backmarkers struggling. Look at Ferrari's 2 main rivals at the front. Lando Norris has been absolutely decimated by bad reliability this year. Neither he nor Piastri even started in China. Gearbox issues ended his Canadian Grand Prix early, and in Monaco his battery went kaput. McLaren clearly still need time to fully understand the Mercedes power unit. But here's the thing, if your actual supplier is also struggling, what chance have the customers got? Because Mercedes themselves are hurting. George had issues in China qualifying. His car switched off in Canada. Antonelli's car stopped with 3 laps to go in Barcelona. And after Spa, Toto Wolff openly admitted there's a power unit issue the team still needs to fix. If Mercedes can't get it right, what chance have their customers got? Now back to Ferrari. Yes, Leclerc ground to a halt in Barcelona, but that was hydraulics, power steering, not power unit related. And when you look at Ferrari's engine package, performance-wise it isn't at Mercedes level, but reliability, it's been a cut above. Lewis Hamilton has finished every single race and sprint this year. He is the only driver on the entire grid to have completed every racing lap. In a long 24-race season, sometimes you just need to get it over the line. And right now, Ferrari are doing that better than both Mercedes-powered teams around them. ADUO. Additional development and upgrade opportunities. This system was always going to be contentious, and that's exactly how it's turned out. Red Bull have been deemed to have the best internal combustion engine. Mercedes deemed more than 2% off, meaning one upgrade is coming their way this year, and their customer teams benefit too. But Ferrari have been deemed more than 4% off, which means they get 2 upgrades this season, and 2 more next year. Now put that into context. 4 to 6% off is roughly 22 to 33 brake horsepower. That is not insignificant. That's about the deficit Alpine were estimated to have back in their Renault engine years. And yes, there are questions and accusations flying around about how these assessments were made. Ultimately, we have to take the FIA's word for it. But if Ferrari's engine really is that far down, then it's also a massive testament to what they've done with the battery, and especially the chassis. Don't just take my word for it. Lando Norris said it himself after Barcelona, and I'm going to give you this almost word for word. We are lucky that Ferrari doesn't have a better engine at the minute. If they had a better engine, they're dominating. They're the class of the field in terms of cornering performance. We're not even close to them. If they make improvements on the engine side, they'll embarrass everyone. Now look, drivers love gassing up their competitors. It's an easy way of shifting pressure. Is Lando lying? Absolutely not. Might he be exaggerating slightly? Maybe. But the numbers don't lie. A freshly upgraded Ferrari in Barcelona was doing absolute God's work through the corners. And the first of those ADUO engine upgrades has already landed. Ferrari can keep working in the background and bring even more performance later in the season. They don't have to choose. Mercedes only get one shot at this. Ferrari get two. That's an opportunity. Alright, enough about the car. Let's talk about the man. Because given everything Lewis has been through since that 2021 title was snatched from the palm of his hands, this 41-year-old 2026 spec version of him appears to be on top of the world. And it's funny how quickly things change. It wasn't long ago people were saying he looked miserable, that he was surely about to retire, and now look at him. Battling a world champion in his debut season, getting it done in overtime in 2008, watching McLaren fall from grace, taking a punt on Mercedes, dominating for years. Watching Mercedes have their own fall-off, taking a punt on Ferrari, and now this. No years off since his 2007 debut. The winningest driver this sport has ever seen. 387 race starts, 7 championships, 106 wins, 104 poles, over 200 podiums. Yes, I have read his Wikipedia page. The point is this. A championship run-in will not intimidate this man. It's home territory. But that is not what can be said for the drivers around him. Kimi is still 19. He's literally a teenager. And right now there's an ignorance and arrogance of youth that's serving him brilliantly. But if he's still leading this championship as the season reaches its final stages, there is going to be a very big job for Toto, for Bono, for the whole of Mercedes to keep him steady. No silly mistakes. No emotional radio blow-ups, no cracks under pressure. We watched exactly that happen to Oscar Piastri last season. Kimi will be hoping history doesn't repeat itself. George has the experience over his teammate, but Spa was a disaster for him, crashing out on the opening lap after contact with Hamilton and dropping to third in the standings. He's been waiting for this championship chance since 2022, and just as he once pushed Lewis out of Mercedes, now this young upstart Antonelli is doing the same thing to him. And even if George claws his way back to the top of this fight, he's never won a world championship. That pressure is uncharted territory for him. For Lewis, he's done this 7 times. From a pressure standpoint, it's nothing he hasn't lived before. And then there's the teammate, Charles, who's been waiting longer than any of them. He won Silverstone, a huge statement. And he's actually been the more consistent Ferrari driver over recent races, finishing second at Spa, while Lewis could only manage 4th. He qualified right behind Lewis here in Hungary too. So let's not write Charles off. Form is temporary, class is permanent. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Nobody on this grid wants Lewis to win this title less than Charles, because that would mean the car was good enough, and he wasn't the one who did the winning. Reason number 4. And this might be the most underrated one. George versus Kimi. Toto Wolff gave a really revealing post-race assessment in Barcelona about how the wins slipped away from them. His words, "We tried to race fair in the team game, but maybe it cost us the win. They raced each other quite hard before George's stop, and I think we lost about 4, 5, 6 seconds to Lewis. We're leaving that time on the track." 2 number 1 drivers fighting for the same championship. McLaren had to deal with exactly this last year and, let's be honest, they handled it badly. They bent over backwards trying to look fair and just made everything more complicated. Now Toto has given himself the same headache. The same headache he swore he'd never repeat after the Hamilton-Rosberg wars. Kimi has developed faster than anyone expected, and he's matching George week in, week out, both chasing their very first world title. That desperation isn't going anywhere, and as the season intensifies, keeping them from tripping over each other becomes nearly impossible. And every single time they cost each other time, every awkward strategy compromise, every bit of internal politics, that's an open door for the sole lead Ferrari runner to walk through and hoover up the points. Strategically, one focused Hamilton against 2 Mercedes drivers splitting each other's race. That maths favors Lewis. And finally, reason 5. Max Verstappen. Unquestionably still the best driver in Formula One. I'm sure most of you agree. How he came up just 2 points short last year is still beyond me. But right now, the Red Bull package is simply not giving him a race-winning car. Reliability has been patchy. Monaco was rough for both Red Bulls. There's been talk of excess weight still coming off the car. And this weekend in Hungary, he could only qualify 6th after spinning at the final corner of his last Q3 lap. The ADUO assessment ruling that Red Bull has the best internal combustion engine is a huge compliment, but it actually works against them, because it takes away an upgrade path. Battery and chassis improvements are the order of the day at Milton Keynes, and until those land, this is comfortably the 4th best package on the grid, even with Max's wizardry. And look, a race-winning Max Verstappen would have made Lewis's 2026 championship exponentially harder. These two have history. It would have come to blows on track. It would have been incredible drama. I just don't think we're seeing it this season. Red Bull will find their way back. They always do. But that creates a window where Lewis can win races and stack podiums without that Dutchman filling his mirrors. Now is the time to shine. So, can Lewis Hamilton win the 2026 World Drivers' Championship? Let's bring it all together. He's got the most reliable package at the front of the grid. He's got 2 ADUO engine upgrades landing on the best cornering chassis in Formula One. A car that Lando Norris says would embarrass everyone with a better engine. He's got the deepest well of championship experience of any driver alive, up against a teenager who's never felt title pressure and a Mercedes garage at war with itself. And his greatest rival doesn't have the machinery to fight him. 45 points is a real gap. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. And Antonelli has been sensational. 6 wins doesn't happen by accident. The momentum is real. The car is coming to him, and the man himself looks happier and hungrier than he has in years. So my answer? Yes. Lewis Hamilton absolutely can win the 2026 World Drivers' Championship. It won't be easy, and it might go down to the very last round. But writing off a 7-time world champion with a fast Ferrari and 45 points to find, that's a mistake people have made before, and it rarely ages well. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is the 8th title actually happening this year? And if you enjoyed this one, subscribe to Fast Throttle F1. We'll see you in the next one.